Hey friends, it's Lisa from Bariatric Living 101. Today I'm doing something a little different. I am going to answer questions that I have been asked over the years since I've had my bariatric surgery. From what made me take this first step to what life looks like now after losing 150 pounds. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's chat. So one of the questions I have been asked is, what was the moment that I decided to have bariatric surgery? Well, I actually had been wanting to have bariatric surgery for quite some time, but the insurance that I had I looked into bariatric surgery in 2005, and the insurance I had at the time wouldn't cover it. So I didn't have it, and I continued just trying to lose weight the way I had always tried. I tried a little bit of everything over the years, like everybody else, the yo-yo dieting, I don't even know, I've tried Weight Watchers, I tried Nutrisystem, I tried just starving myself, liquid diets, I don't know, you name it, Herbalife. I mean, I tried everything. A doctor even put me on Phenermine once, helped me lose weight, and I lost a whopping 20 pounds. And and then all it did was raise my blood pressure, and he wound up having to take me off of it. So, my highest weight I ever got to was 332 pounds. And now I've lost 150 pounds. I'm down to 182. So what made me decide when I actually had it? Well, I had something happen that was life-threatening. And so I wound up having, out of the blue, because at the time I was pretty sedentary, and so I was going to school actually at the time I wanted to become an ultrasound tech. And so I was going through a medical terminology class at school, and believe it or not, and this is God's honest truth, but let me back up. What made me decide to have this surgery was the fact that out of the blue one day I had pulmonary embolism that had developed in the main part of my pulmonary artery, and it had traveled through my heart, and I was in the hospital, and they told me I had pulmonary embolism. I had blood clots in both my lungs, and so they put me on Xarelto. So I am currently still on a blood thinner. They are not willing to really take me off of it because they don't know what caused it in the first place. And so, due to that, and I want to be here for my family. I have a husband, I have children, I have grandchildren, and I want to be here for them. And so I didn't even have insurance at the time when I had the pulmonary embolism. And so when I wound up in the hospital actually signed me up for our state's, it's called the Hoosier Indiana Plan, or the Healthy Indiana Plan. Anyway, it's kind of like Medicaid. And so they signed me up for that, and it took care of everything for me. And that plan actually paid for my bariatric surgery. So I was able to have it. And so what I was getting ready to tell you was when I was in school and I was taking medical terminology class, the week I had my pulmonary embolism is the week that we were learning about pulmonary embolisms and the side effects and stuff like that. And so I just think that that's kind of a God thing. So kind of, I actually at the time though, I didn't even know that that's what was happening. Actually, I was having shortness of breath. I couldn't walk 2 or 3 feet without being extremely out of breath. And so, yeah, the night that I had that it traveled through my heart, I didn't even know that that's what was happening. I got out of my chair to go into the kitchen. I was making dinner, and I got into the kitchen, and all of a sudden I just felt clammy, sweaty, like I was about to pass out. I felt extremely nauseous. I just held onto the counter for dear life so I wouldn't fall. And I didn't know, I can't really explain to you exactly how it felt other than that. And I couldn't finish making dinner. I went and had to go sit down, and I knew something was wrong. And so it had taken me about 4 days to let my husband take me to the doctor. Don't do that. And so yeah, that is my why. My why is my family. My why is my children. My why is my grandkids. And I want to be here for everybody. Another question I've been asked is, how did I feel leading up to surgery? Was I nervous, excited, scared? And I will tell you all of the above. And so I actually was very excited, especially when I finally got that phone call that said my insurance company was going to cover the surgery, and they were able to schedule the actual date. So I was on cloud 9 that day because I just wanted the weight off. I was tired. I was tired of dealing with my weight. I was tired of struggling with the head noise all the time of food. And I felt like at the time food was like my constant thought all the time. How to lose weight constantly. And not being successful at it. And so I felt like the surgery was my I don't even know how to put it. It was my saving grace. It was it was a blessing. And so, yeah, I was very, very excited. Now, leading up to it, as the date got closer, I was getting more nervous, but not bad nervous. I think I was just more excited than anything. So yeah. And the day of surgery, I was nervous. But who isn't, when you're getting all prepped up and stuff to go back for a surgery, So yeah, I was quite excited actually. So another question is, what was my surgery day like? From beginning to the time until waking up and then right after. So, when you go in for surgery, you go in and you get prepped. And so yeah, I remember all that. I remember actually my surgeon, he's a wonderful, wonderful man. And he came into my room to talk to me about the surgery. But he asked me if he could pray with me. And I just thought that was really cool. And so, of course, I let him pray with me. And I knew I was in good hands. He had been doing this for years. And he had a good success record. And besides that, I knew God was with me. And and it helped knowing that a Christian man was doing the surgery over me as well. So that was good. And then waking up, I don't remember a whole lot about the actual waking up process, But I do remember being in my room and being in a little bit of pain, not a whole lot. I do remember the gas pain, however. They warn you too when you're going through all the classes and stuff preparing for the surgery. They warn you about the gas pain, and that's why after surgery they want you to get up and walk around, because that will get the gas moving. But what it is when you have your surgery and you have these little incisions on your belly. I had 5 or 6 of them, and so they have little small incisions, but they blow your stomach up with gas, and so they can see what they're doing. And so that gas that they put in your stomach has to move out of you, and so that pain is real. And it went up into my left shoulder, but I was able to get up and start walking the day of my surgery pretty much right away. And I remember drinking some chicken broth, which was so good. The chicken broth they had there was so good. I believe it was that Knorr, Knorr, chicken broth. I can't find it. I used to be able to find it, but now I can't find it anymore. Anyway, it was really good. And that was all I drank when I was there, basically, while I was in the hospital. Before surgery, I was eating sucking on like sugar-free popsicles and stuff. They tell you your taste buds change, and they are not lying. Your taste buds change immediately right after surgery. And sugar-free popsicles was no longer my friend. They were way too sweet. I couldn't handle them. And so my chicken broth, that became my best friend. And also, while we were preparing for surgery, you have to, if you're self-pay, I don't think you have to do this, but because my insurance was paying for it, I had to take all these classes. They prepare you for surgery. And going through all that, I have a really good friend named Penny that I met there. And she had surgery the same day I did. And so we are still best friends to this day. And maybe sometime I'll have her on my YouTube channel so you guys can meet her. But she's lost all her weight now. And so far I've been talking about my very first surgery. After 8 years ago, I did February 19th of 2018. Wow. 2018. And so I had the gastric sleeve. I didn't have my intestines messed with and everything. So everything I've been talking about has been based on that surgery so far. So another question has been, what was my recovery like? Both physically and emotionally in the first few weeks after my surgery. So I do remember after coming home from having that surgery, they tell you to try to get your water in, which they want you to get in quite a bit of water. And I think they want you to get in at least 64 ounces of water in. And then they also want you to get in 60 plus grams of protein. And but your first week home, you can't. It feels like the biggest struggle in the whole wide world. And that first week was a struggle for me because, for one, I got sick. I was so sick. I wound up right after surgery and coming home, I wound up with strep throat. So dealing with the surgery and then having strep throat on top of it and running a fever, trying to get my water in. Oh my gosh, I was so sick. My husband was so worried about me. I couldn't hardly eat. I mean, I wasn't allowed to eat anything. I was on a liquid diet. And so, but I couldn't hardly get anything in me. And, yeah, I felt like I was getting dehydrated. And so we actually called the doctor's office, and they just, I can't remember actually. I think I wound up going to the emergency room. So I got put on an antibiotic, and then I started recovering. But even once I started feeling better from the strep throat, just trying to get all of your liquids in, trying to get all, because right after surgery, I believe you're on a full liquid diet. So you're on a clear liquid diet at the hospital. You get put on a full liquid diet coming home. And then I think you're on that for a week, maybe 2. And then you get put on soft foods, pureed foods, not soft, puree. So yeah, just trying to get everything in. I just felt like I was struggling with it to know it. I mean, I just couldn't hardly get it in. I felt like I was doing such a bad job. I felt like I wasn't getting all my nutrients in, but, and sometimes when you go through that stage, you feel like almost like you regret doing it, but regret having the surgery, I mean, but it will pass, and you will be fine, and you will eventually be able to meet your goals for your protein and your water. I still struggle actually with my water intake, tell you the truth. I don't struggle getting my protein in, but I do struggle with getting all my water in. What changes did I notice in the first few months? On the scale, in my clothes, etc. Well, I didn't expect actually to see the scale. I am one of these people that I keep hitting the microphone, sorry. I am one of these people that I weigh myself daily. It's an obsession. I can't put it any other way. But due to that, I was able to see the scale drop rapidly. I mean, I wasn't expecting to see 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 2 pounds, 3 pounds. I mean, it was like rapid, and which was thrilling me. And so that was cool. The other thing that was pretty cool was when, as the weight was dropping, I was seeing that I was able to fit in chairs that I had never been able to fit in. The chairs that have the arms. I struggled to fit in those. Actually, a lot of the time I couldn't fit in. When I was in school, they had chairs that had the metal arms, and I literally could not fit in those chairs. I was sitting on the very edge of the chair, and those arms were actually digging into my hips. And there's been times in the past that, I remember one time we went to a restaurant, and they were trying to put us in a booth, and I couldn't fit in that booth. So we asked if there was a table that had chairs that didn't have arms on the chairs. And so they were able to see us somewhere else. But you know what? That's quite embarrassing. And so, yeah, I want to... I want to show you a picture. I'm going to cover up my husband, but here's a picture of me. This is one of my heaviest weights. This isn't my heaviest, but this is a picture of me and my husband. And this is his favorite picture of us together. One of our favorite pictures. But let me tell you something about this girl. She may have looked happy in this picture. She wasn't happy. That girl struggled a lot with self-esteem, with self-confidence. I felt like every time I turned around when I was out in public, people were staring at me. My joints were so bad. I wound up with, well, I had a knee injury in 1997, and so I did wind up with a knee replacement in 2014. So because of that, though, I wound up having to ride on a scooter for a while, like when you go to Walmart, and I hated that because at the time I was extremely heavy to boot, and when I felt like people were watching me anyway. And so, wow. Sorry. But being on a scooter through Walmart when you're heavy like that, people is staring is a whole new level, because I felt like they were staring at me because of my weight. That she's so fat that she's having to ride a scooter. She just needs to lose weight. Yeah, I dealt with those kind of things. And so when I saw the weight falling, I was tickled pink. And then when I was able to go to Walmart with my friend Penny, and we were trying on clothes, and she would look at something and she wanted me to try it on. I'm like, I can't fit into that. That's, because I had gotten up to, I was a triple X. I was a 3X. And so at the time before surgery. And so she wanted me to try on, at the time, she was wanting me to try on a large. And I'm like, there ain't no way. And so I went and tried it on, and oh my gosh, it fit. It fit. And I couldn't believe it. That's when I knew I didn't have to shop at plus size stores anymore. And I could shop anywhere I wanted. And so, yeah, those kinds, I was able to bend over and tie my shoes. I was able to bend over and put my own socks and shoes on. My husband used to have to do that for me, but not anymore. So, another question is, what's been one of my biggest challenges since surgery, and how have I worked through it? I will have to tell you that my biggest challenge was the 3 years that I had to take care of my dad, who had Alzheimer's. Because I was watching my dad slip away, and I was watching myself slip away because I wasn't taking care of me. I was totally focused on taking care of my dad. And due to that, a lot of my old behaviors, eating wise, came flooding back. And so I've always been an emotional eater. I mean, I don't care if I'm happy, sad, whatever. I've just always been an emotional eater. And so, yeah, taking care of my dad was a struggle. It was the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. Taking care of my parents. I helped take care of my mom when she was sick. And I took care of my dad when he was. I would never trade it for anything in the world. But in the process of it all, I did neglect myself, and it was emotional for me to watch my dad decline. And so I did turn to food. There's a phrase that we use in the bariatric world about slider foods. And so there's some foods out there that are considered slider foods. Take, for instance, potato chips. They're high in calories, but they're easy to go down. You can eat a lot of them before you know what you've done. And see, and that's another thing I haven't touched on. Before surgery, I was a binge eater. I binged a lot. And so I needed to do something that was drastic, that was going to force my hand to change. And this surgery did that. My stomach is so much smaller. I can only eat 4 to 6 ounces of food at a time. So yeah, it depends on what I eat. And if it's a meat, I can eat only like 4 ounces maybe. If it's a ground up meat or something more pureed, like chili or something, I can eat about 5 ounces of that. So it just depends. But my biggest struggle was food and going through the emotional journey that I went through taking care of my dad. And so because of that, though, I did gain 50 pounds. It didn't come on overnight. I mean, before I started taking care of him, the very first year, the year in 2018, the year I had my surgery, I lost 120 pounds initially. I went from 332 down to 212 or 213. Anyway, and then the scale stopped. And so I didn't know why. I hadn't changed anything really. And, but then that year from 2018 to 2020, I had gained 20 pounds. And then when I went to go take care of my dad in 2020, and then by 2023, I had gained another 30 pounds. So yeah, I had gained 50 pounds. So I had gotten back up to 265-ish. And so, but once my dad passed and I was trying to get the weight back off, that scale would not move. It wouldn't budge. I mean, I wasn't gaining anymore, but I wasn't losing either. And so I was trying to get serious about getting my weight off, and that scale just wouldn't budge. So that's when I went to go talk to my surgeon. And he thought, because I've been through menopause as well, he thought maybe I was going through, there was a hormonal stuff going on with me. And so he agreed to do a revision surgery. And so, yeah, so back this past October of 2024, I did have a revision surgery, which was where they changed. I still have my gastric sleeve surgery. They still have my little pouch of a stomach, but the revision is when they go in and reroute your intestines, and they changed it from just the gastric sleeve to what's called the SATI S. And so now I deal with malabsorption issues. And so that surgery was a little bit different. That one was about the same as far as, recovering from your incisions and stuff. But my stomach was already small. So, they still wanted me to take all the steps that I needed to take before my original surgery. Because they want you, all the different steps, after your surgery, like clear liquid, full liquid, puree, soft, regular diet. They still wanted me to do all that, even though they didn't mess with my stomach this time. I didn't understand that. I did not understand why. I now do. And it's because that recovery was different. Just because my stomach agreed with the foods I was eating does not mean my intestines did. And I learned that quickly. And then, just to be real, I'm trying to be really real. After that surgery, I dealt with a lot more gas pain. I dealt with trapped gas pain that gets trapped under your rib cage. It was horrendous. It was so bad. And the amount that you end up, the amount of bowels you end up passing after that surgery is unbelievable. I was beginning to wonder if I was going to live in the bathroom. So I actually went to my friend Penny and asked her for advice, because I was like, how long does this last? and she actually couldn't really remember, but she's like, it doesn't last forever. So that was nice to hear. And but I will tell you, there's something called the dumping syndrome, and that's no joke. I have actually been through that a couple of times now, where I didn't even know it was going to happen, because the first time it ever happened, I actually didn't eat anything that bad. I had one or two cookies. It was the 4th of July. But we were doing a picnic thing with some friends, and we packed the meats and the cheeses and that kind of stuff. And I was eating those for my protein. But we also made a few little sweets, and I did have a cookie or two. And oh my gosh, I felt so sick. And it's like it almost feels like having the flu. You wind up going to the bathroom immediately. And you wind up with the sweats and like the cold chills. And yeah, it's bad. You feel like you all of a sudden came down with the case of the flu. And then it passes within about 30 minutes or so. But then that night, it hit me again within an hour later. And I wound up going to bed shivering that night. And yeah, I don't want to ever do that to myself again. I learned my lesson. What does my daily routine look like now? With my meals and my mindset and my movement. Well, I will tell you that I learned my lesson after gaining that 50 pounds back, that I did not want to do that again. And so I went into this surgery, the revision surgery, being dead serious about getting this weight off once and for all. And so my mindset was totally different. Before, I kind of felt like having the surgery was like you have such a small stomach, right? So I felt like it's pretty much going to do the work for me. And I took that approach to it, I guess. And so when the scale stopped moving, I didn't know what to do about it and all that stuff. But this is just a tool. It's a tool. It's not, it's not the answer to everything. It's a tool for you to use to get the weight off. It's a tool for you. You can't eat a whole lot, so eventually your mindset does change. Like I eat such a small amount that looks normal to me now. So when I see somebody else, like when we go to restaurants or whatever, and I see these large plates of food in front of people, and I remember when I used to eat all that at a restaurant. I'm like, and I look at it now, I'm like, how the heck did I eat all that? Because now these small amounts look normal to me. So in that aspect, my mind has changed also. Movement, I know I need to move. So I've been walking. I do have a gym membership. My husband and I actually go to the gym together and we work out. And so yeah, I make sure I move. I don't like actually sitting down in a chair anymore. I do long enough to edit my videos, maybe watch a TV for a little bit, but I am up and about getting things done because I can now. I didn't used to be able to. It would exhaust me just to get out of the chair and try to clean my house. And I mean, that seemed so overwhelming. But now I can, and I want to. So in that aspect, that has also changed. So yeah, my meals are different. I am more protein forward, low carb, low sugar, and eat very, very small amounts. And I do still like my coffee. By the way, this is so good. This is, I made a pumpkin spice latte this morning. It is so good. So how has my relationship with food and your body changed since surgery? Well, I didn't have a healthy relationship with food before surgery. I used it as a crutch. I binged on it. I went to food for my comfort. It was no different than an alcoholic turning to alcohol. No different. It's an addiction. It's a disease. It's, so yeah. My relationship with food was very unhealthy before surgery. Since surgery, especially since this last surgery, it has totally changed. I just eat for nourishment, so I do deal with malabsorption now. My doctor does my blood work every 6 to 8 weeks to keep me monitored because I have dealt with low potassium. At one point, my potassium got too low about 2 months after my surgery, and I wound up with a potassium infusion. There's once my iron and my ferritin dropped too low, and so I wound up with an iron infusion. So they do monitor my blood work, and I do take potassium chloride as a supplement, and I take all my vitamins. Speaking of which, let's talk vitamins. I take a multivitamin with iron. It's called Berry Melts. It is meant for bariatric patients. These are the only ones that I have found that I like. They dissolve in your mouth, and they actually taste. Mine are blueberry flavored, and they actually taste like blueberries. And so I actually enjoy taking my vitamins. So yeah, you have to take your vitamins. I have to take extra vitamin D, up to 5,000 units on top of my multivitamin. I take, and I also take a vitamin D that has K2 with it. And I take calcium chews to keep my calcium up. So yeah, so I take all that. And as far as my relationship with food, I have decided the reason why I do these videos is because I want to. So how I talked about when I went to school and I was going to become an ultrasound tech? I wound up changing my field and I became a pastry chef. So needless to say, being a pastry chef has kind of been a little bit of my downfall, but it also has been wonderful because I am actually now able to use my skills that I have and transform recipes. And that's what I'm doing. I'm coming up with recipes. I might find recipes online or in a book, or I might develop my own, but I will transform a recipe. If I find a recipe that calls for flour, sugar, whatever, I'm going to transform that recipe. And so it'll be bariatric friendly. It will be not just for bariatric people. It's also for people that just want to lose weight, that want to eat more protein, low carb, low sugar. And so these recipes are good for you too. And so yeah, that is my relationship with food now. I'm using it for nourishment, but I also want to educate people that you can still enjoy food with transforming it, and it can taste really, really good. The holidays are coming up, and you're going to start seeing some major transformations as far as desserts, and I'm going to do some transformation videos, or not transformation necessarily, but give you some new ideas of what you can take to the holiday meal with you without feeling deprived. So stay tuned for those videos. If I could go back and talk to my pre-surgery self, what would I say? Go for it. I would say go for it. Or what took you so long? So yeah, I would but I would also, though, tell myself to initially do the surgery for myself. No, man, I keep hitting my microphone. I will tell myself, I'm not telling you, this is me, my personal journey, but I would tell myself to, the very first surgery I had, not just stop at the gastric sleeve and go all the way with the SATIS, because I've gone through that surgery twice now, and I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. I wish I would have. My friend Penny had it done from the get-go. She's done wonderful, and I wish I would have done the same thing. So I would tell my pre-surgery self that, but also to tell myself that go for it and enjoy the journey as you lose your weight, and you will succeed and you will enjoy life again.